Previously on They Caught Me. Christina Adams and her wife are arrested by the Marion County Sheriff's Office. The father of Christina, 74-year-old Richard Langer, has called the police, reporting that his 30-year-old daughter has attacked him and his wife. Investigators decide to interrogate the wife, looking for her possible involvement, as well as a deep dive into the mind of Christina. Although Brenda is fidgety and shows strange behavior, she maintains that she doesn't have any involvement in the attack. The authorities leave her interrogation room and confront Christina for more answers. From the start, Christina denies any involvement in the attack. But after a 6-hour interrogation, these detectives will play the role of psychologists. Let's dive right in, because Christina will eventually share not only what she did, but why she did it, and the results will leave you stunned.
Your bra?
Yes.
Spread your feet for me, okay? Anything in your bra?
No. Just boobs.
Just boobs. Anything in your pockets?
I think they got everything.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. She's good.
Good. You can have a seat.
Do I get these off or no?
Nah, not
yet.
Not yet. It's their show.
Can I at least put them in the front?
I'll ask, but I'm going to be honest with you, chances are probably not, but we'll see what we can do, okay?
Okay, I
Go ahead and
have
have a
ligaments and tendons.
Okay.
Forward.
All right.
Get another one coming? Yeah.
After about 3 minutes, they would come in and take the cuffs off.
Hi, you Christina?
Yes.
Christina, I'm Detective Pender with the Sheriff's Office. We're gonna get your handcuffs moved up to the front real quick here. All right, let's do that. And just to let you know, we're waiting on Detective Stiff. Okay, he's going to be the primary detective. He's coming down here now, so that's why we're in a holding pattern until he gets here, and then we can talk some. So we'll try to get you a little bit more comfortable here.
Thank you so much.
Let's slide this around.
Oh.
This way.
It hurts, but feels so good. It's very good.
Okay, Christina, here's the water for you, and if you need anything, the bathrooms, and knock on the door. Okay, there's a deputy right outside. We'll be in as soon as we can.
Thank you.
After waiting for almost an hour, the detectives would finally come down to confront Christina.
Okie dokie.
Christina? I'm Detective Stiff.
I'm Detective Pender. Yep, I brought you that water earlier.
Yeah.
Got your handcuffs sorted out.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep you in here. It's a little chilly in here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, trying to get some information about what happened this morning, so I'd like to talk to you. We've talked to a bunch of people. You've been here for a while, so in that meantime, we haven't just been sitting around. We've been trying to put pieces together and get an idea of what happened this morning.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask you some questions and get some information from you. Would like to start out with making sure I have the correct information for you.
Okay.
Could you spell your first name?
Christina.
Do you have a middle name?
And Anne.
And your last name?
Adams.
Okay, great. And your date of birth? And do you work?
No, currently I was going to school full time, and then I'm like a couple credits short of graduating with a double degree, and so I took a break for a little while because it was getting a little stressful.
Yeah, that can be. The double degree?
Yeah.
What are you studying?
Equine physiology, exercise physiology, and business management.
Okay, that's a good combo for where you're at.
Yeah.
In Florida.
Yeah.
All right. So they're at the house you.
Mm-hmm.
Whose house is that?
That's my parents.
Your parents? And what are their names?
Sally and Richard Langford.
Okay. Does anyone else live there?
No, I don't believe so. Like, I live in a back apartment. It's
Mhm.
like completely like separate from the other house.
Okay. But no one lives in the same like building you live in? It's just you?
Well, I mean, my wife stays with me most of the time.
Okay.
And our daughter. But in the other house, no, it's just family.
Just your parents. Okay. And what school are you going to?
College of Central Florida.
Okay. And when did you stop going there? You said you took some time off?
Yeah, I stopped in the end of the spring.
Okay. And when was the last time you were working?
See, my record has always been a problem with me getting jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, because I love horses, they haven't really caught up with the whole background check thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a win for me.
Yeah.
And so like one of the last credits I need is an internship. And I found this really great place that, I loved working there. We got along really well. I worked well with the horses. They loved my work. And then everything was great. And then there was some problem like with the internship paperwork between the equine, it's called Ocala Equine Hospital. It's way out on North 27. And there was some something going on with the paperwork between them and the college.
Okay.
And that just put a whole blew up my whole plan.
Yeah.
And so they were like, well, we really want you to work here, and so the only way to get around this, because they were having me put on leave while they figured out the paperwork.
Okay.
They were like, we're just gonna hire you permanently.
All right.
Now during the whole interview, the initial interview before I even got the job, before I even started, they never said anything about a background check.
Mm. And
so I was like, great, this is perfect.
They just sprung it at you.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, we need a 10-year background check. So yeah, I lost that, and I got very, very depressed. And shit.
And what was that?
That was February, March, something like that. The beginning of this year.
Were you working at Dollar Tree at some point?
Yes, that was right before then. I gave my manager 2 weeks notice, and that I was going for these interviews, and that I would keep her up to date, and that went well.
Okay, all right. So, like I said, I'm trying to gather some information, and obviously something happened today, and I'm going to talk about that, and I need your complete honesty, okay? Because there's always two sides to every story, and a lot of times when we get one side, we're like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, but then we go talk to the other parties involved, and there's usually more to it than meets the eye with one party statement, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've been around long enough to know how that works as far as, one person's going to say something that benefits them, but that's not always the truth. So, your complete cooperation, your honesty is going to be very important in this, because we've done a lot of fact-finding already, and we know a lot of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, is I'm going to ask you some questions I already know the answer to, because I just met you. I don't know you from anybody else, right? And the best way I can, in one sitting, just meeting someone to determine if they're being honest and open with me, is to ask them questions I already know the answer to. And it's not that I'm trying to trip you up or trick you or be deceptive to you. But if you answer honestly things that I already know the answer to, then the pieces that I'm still trying to put together, that puzzle, it's going to be a lot easier for me to believe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that being said, you are in handcuffs. Okay. You were detained at a traffic stop. And I'm asking questions about a criminal investigation. So with that, you're considered detained. So I have to read you your rights. Doesn't mean you're under arrest. It just means I want to ask you questions about a criminal investigation, okay? And I have to read this to you, all right? You understand each of those rights? Okay. So you said that you live at, is it like a studio apartment built up in the hangar at the house or at the property?
Yeah, it's like, okay, so there's the main house, and that's connected to the hangar, and then my apartment is connected to the hangar in the very back.
Okay, so it's all one building, it's just kind of separated from what's inside?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, were you there last night at the house? Okay. Who was there with you?
Last night?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No one? Okay. And you said your parents live alone, do you know if they have company?
They occasionally, like my brother Steven, he sometimes has problems with his wife, he comes by.
Mm-hmm.
David sometimes comes by to do lawn work, and
Who's David?
that's one of my other brothers.
Okay.
The last of 9.
Last of 9? Okay.
It's just all brothers? Do you have any sisters?
No, I have, so it goes boy, 2 girls, and then boy, me.
All right.
David,
You're the youngest then, you said?
yes.
Okay. All right. So last night you were alone. What time do you think you went to bed?
I sent my wife a good night text. I want to say like 10:30.
At night?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And where was she? Do you know where she was at?
Yeah, she was at her apartment with her mom and our daughter.
Okay. And you went to bed after that?
Right, you know, like very shortly. I was very tired.
And then you woke up this morning about
5-ish.
5? Okay.
I usually have an alarm either 5 or 5:45.
Okay. And what did you do?
I got up, I fed my cats, and I watched some movies, played some games on my phone. I'm in the middle of learning a new language on Duolingo. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Yeah, me and my wife are trying to learn to speak Valyrian from Game of Thrones.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I did that. I fed the cats. I put in a load of laundry, and then I came back and sat at the house and put on a movie, and then Brenda was dropping off to school, and she said that she had to get ice and go to Publix. And so I really wanted to see her, and we usually, you know, she usually stays like Monday through Friday and then goes back to her mom's house for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't had that in a long time. It's been like only like we can only see each other like for little bits and pieces during the day.
Why is that?
Because one of the weeks, it was very shortly ago, her mom really wanted her to come home earlier in the week, and so then she got stuck there, and we have this whole thing, and so her mom wanted to stay there, and you know just things kept getting put off. So the next time that we were going to be being at my place was this coming Monday.
Okay. And so this morning, were you communicating with Brenda, like through text or Facebook Messenger or something?
Messenger.
Okay. And you made arrangements to go to Publix?
Mm-hmm. I was going to meet her at Publix.
Okay. And did she come over to the house and you guys went there together, or how did you meet up? Like,
everything's very blurry.
why is that?
Just because of everything that's happening, on my way back to my place, and I get pulled over and handcuffed and brought here.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's can be stressful.
Okay. So she said that she was gonna go to Publix or racetrack to get ice in the Publix, and then after she left and dropped the kid off, she's like, "Why don't I just come over there?" And so she came over, and I was in one of my depressions because you know, my record rate makes it very hard to get employed. And all I really want to be is a productive member of society and have a job, you know, work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and come home to my wife and kid. And it gets me down a lot like that. I can't do that. And
So Brenda came over before Publix? Or
yes,
after?
before Publix.
Okay.
Now, this is problematic because if you're here from episode 1, we already heard Brenda's timeline, and she never went over to Christina's.
And do you remember about what time that would have been?
A little before 8.
A little before 8? Now, did she come inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had she already gone to racetrack and got the bag of ice at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did she like bring the bag of ice in the house, put it in the out of the silly? But did she,
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
how do you know she had the bag of ice already then? I mean, did you see it?
I think all I know is that she came over after she dropped the kid off.
Okay.
I don't know if she did the ice or the Publix
Sure.
yet.
Okay. All right.
You don't know if she did the ice in the Publix yet?
Yeah.
So, but did you go to Publix with her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then she wouldn't have made 2 trips to Publix.
No,
probably.
obviously,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So she came over prior to the Publix trip that you made with her.
Yes.
Okay. And how did she get to your house?
When? In her red car.
Okay. So she came over this morning. That's the first time that you saw her this morning?
Yes.
Okay. She came there in her red Nissan, I think it was?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And from there, did you drive your car to the Publix or?
Well, the plan was to go over to her house because she was like, you know, why don't you get up, get out of the house, get ready, you know, come over to my place, you know, have some fun with me and the kid and my mom and have some shepherd's pie that she made and, you know, get out of your little funk because she knows, you know, I get in these funks and I basically have to be dragged out of the house to snap out of it. And so, yeah, so then we left in our separate cars. Because, you know, at the end of everything, she was going to stay at her place. So we went in our separate cars.
Okay. And if she came over a little before 8, what time do you think you got to the Publix? I know we don't usually keep track of minutes and seconds, but the best you can remember.
I don't know, but for some reason, I remember it saying like 8:35 on the clock when I was getting pulled over.
Okay.
So, between then and then.
Okay. How long do you think you were at the Publix?
Not very long. She just needed to get some olive loaf and kitten food. Was there anything else? Oh, Worcestershire sauce.
Okay. And this was the Bellevue Publix?
Yeah.
I guess that's probably the closest one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know where that ice, you said she stopped at the racetrack and got ice. Do you know where that went to? Where that would be?
It was in her car.
Okay. And where's her car now?
Publix.
You left, okay, so after you left Publix, what happened? You like jumped in your car
Yeah,
together?
because
You just left a melting bag of ice in there?
Confusing.
I know, like, because we weren't planning to be gone long.
Mm-hmm.
My house is not far from Publix, and I told her that I really wanted to switch my laundry before, going over it for a few hours and not have wet laundry sitting in the washer because it starts to stink.
So you did some laundry today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was good early this morning.
All right. And so you jumped in both in your car, and then you were going to go where?
Jumped in my car from where?
From Publix. When
From
you left
Publix.
Publix.
Yeah, I told you, I told her I really wanted to go back to my place
Mm-hmm.
to switch the laundry so that it wasn't sitting in the washer.
Okay. And that's when the deputies pulled you over?
Yes.
And did they explain what happened?
No.
Okay.
I haven't been in the house. Is the washer and dryer in the same little apartment you're in, or is it in the main house?
It's in the main house.
Oh, okay.
It's like right inside the hangar.
Okay.
I mean, okay. No, that came out wrong. Okay. So there's a door between my apartment and the hangar. And there's a door here at like near the front of the hangar that goes immediately into the washer and dryer room.
Sure. Okay. All right.
So how long were you at the house before you left? You said Brenda got there approximately 8, maybe a little bit before that. How long do you think you were there until you left?
I mean, it doesn't take me long to get ready. I was already, mostly dressed for the day. I just had to slip on some shoes.
Okay. When did you do your laundry?
Around, like, between 5 and 6.
Okay.
I got up at 5.
You just threw it in the washer,
Mm-hmm.
and you left it around 8, but then you wanted to hurry to get back to it to change it out. But between 5 and 6, you threw it in the washer and didn't throw it in the dryer before you left. I'm just trying to understand the time frames, because the little details matter as far as the time frames to be able to tie everything together. About,
right.
Okay, oh yeah, I remember at this time I did that or this. So talking about the little things that you do in the morning kind of helps jog your memory or remember better details of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like one of the first things you did in the morning to do the laundry, or is it?
Usually I get up, I do my Valerian lesson, like, because, there's a chest that you can open, like, if you do a lesson between 6 p.m. and noon, or 6 p.m. and midnight, and then that will open up between 6 a.m. and noon. Okay. And so, you get to do it twice a day, and you get twice as many experience points. So that's usually when I do my Valerian, is after I, wake up, eat something, feed my cats.
So what were your plans when you came back from Publix, when you were headed home? What were you going to do then?
Just switch the laundry.
Switch the laundry?
And go to her place. Well, go back to her car and then to her.
Okay. All right. So when's the last time you saw your parents?
I mean, we were supposed to... It's been a few days.
It's been a few days. So I might have misheard when he asked you about specifically how the washer and dryer setup was. Is it actually in the main house, or is it
It's in the main house.
Okay, so you'd have to go to the main house where your parents live. You didn't see them then or anything?
No.
You went in the kitchen to get some food. You said to eat in the morning, right?
No. That's my kitchen, not their kitchen.
Okay, got it. So it's just separate kitchens.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But the main house has the washer and dryer.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So
a few days. Can you kind of give us an idea of like when and where it was more specifically? You saw them?
I'm usually running around doing stuff. I'll usually wave to them if I see them out, like when I'm pulling in or leaving. But
I mean, have they called you, texted you, knocked on your door in the last couple of days?
Mm-hmm.
When was the last communication they made to you then?
This morning I called my mom to ask her to open the door for the laundry.
Oh, okay. So about what time was that you called her, you think? But would it be on your cell phone?
Yeah.
And what was your cell phone number again? Got it. Okay. And how long have you had that phone number?
Years.
Perfect. What was the number
What
again?
was the number, please?
You had that for years. And what's the phone provider?
Xfinity Mobile.
Okay, Xfinity Mobile. And then you said you talked to your mom this morning one time to tell her to open up that door. Did they have to like unlock it so you can go in to do the wash?
Yeah.
Okay. And about what time was that?
I really don't know.
Okay. Was the sun up or down?
I believe it was like the beginning of daylight.
Sure.
Break.
Okay. Was it a long conversation, short conversation?
Very short, like maybe a minute two.
Describe to us what your mom said.
I said, good morning, and she said, hey, good morning. And, yesterday there was a little bit of, miscommunication. I was headed out, and, they were trying to get a hold of me. And, I had, groceries to get at Publix and Walmart, and so I was a little frazzled trying to leave the house. And, they were saying, please call me, please call me. Well, my mom was. And so then she said, oh, good morning, finally. And I said, yeah, good morning, how are you? And she said, good, how are you? I said, could you open the door so I could do some laundry? And she said, yeah, sure, come on over. And so I went over there and put my laundry in, and I heard Gunsmoke on the TV. That's what she usually watches. And that was it.
When she's watching Gunsmoke on TV, which is normal, what room is that she's in?
A living room.
Okay.
Entertainment center place.
Okay. So you could hear that through the door. And when you did this load of wash, it sounds like it might have been in there for a little bit. I'm not sure what settings you used. Was it like a big load of wash? What were you washing?
Just some clothes, shorts, towels. I don't really sort laundry. I just throw it all in.
So it's going to be shorts and towels that are in the washing machine?
Jacket,
Did your mom come over and talk to you while you were washing the clothes? Did your dad call you or text you this morning?
Mm-mm.
Did you hear him in the background whenever you were talking to your mom? Did you guys?
No, but he usually goes on a morning walk. Like
What
right
time does
around,
he usually do that?
I assume sun up, or shortly before. What else was in that laundry basket? Bras, shirts, shorts, towels. There was a pair of work gloves and some shoe covers.
You said work gloves and shoe covers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I remember correctly, though, you're not working right now, though?
No.
Okay. When was all that? When were the work gloves?
I was doing some cleaning over at Brenta's house, and we were using bleach, and I'm clumsy when it comes to bleach, and so I always...
Okay. Maybe I missed that. When were you guys doing some cleaning?
Yesterday.
Okay.
Or not yesterday.
Christina,
So many days going together. What?
I don't want you to dig yourself into a deeper hole. When I came in here and asked you to get your side of the story, is because I think there's more to the story than what I have so far. But I'll be honest with you. I've talked to your parents. Okay. I've talked to other people. We're in the process of getting a search warrant for the house, for your vehicle, for phones, and there's things that we're going to find that are going to contradict what you're telling me, because I don't believe what you're telling me. Okay. And I want you to give yourself the opportunity to be honest, because there has to be more side of the story. And what I want you to do is to give me, some understanding that you're not this cold-blooded person that would do things to their parents without a good reason. There has to be more to it. Now, you told me you've been in a depression. I've talked to your wife. She said you've been going through some things as well, frustrated with school and with work, and the way things are. You want to be independent, but unfortunately, sometimes we have to rely on our parents, and that can cause stress between, kids and their parents and for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So something happened this morning, which you have been not even interested in knowing about. You haven't asked me once about what happened. Your wife has been more interested about what happened. And that tells me you already know what happened.
No, I've been
Listen,
asking
let's
the
stop now. Hold
officers.
on. Let's just skip the part where you do that, okay? Because I wouldn't come in here and give you this opportunity if I didn't think there was more to the story, okay? I don't think you're that person that's cold-blooded that's going to do this, and that you would just harm somebody of your family if there wasn't more going on. I don't know if there's, issues where you're going through more severe depression than what you're letting on, and you're not letting your family members in on this, and something triggered you. But you've got to be honest with yourself right now, and you've got to be honest with us, because at the end of the day, when all our investigation is complete, you're either going to be the person who was honest and took responsibility and told us what's going on that would cause somebody to do something out of their character like this, or you're going to be the person that's going to be looked at as a liar and a cold-blooded person that would harm their parents. So you need to decide right now which person you're going to be.
If it's something more severe than depression, that's something else we can talk about. Because I've sat down and I've talked to people in this room that have things that are going on with them, and they haven't even been diagnosed by a doctor. But everything that Detective Smith is talking to you about is 100% the truth. That there was a call from your parents' house. There was statements provided. There's things that you haven't talked to us about yet, and he's right. We should just hit the reset button and start over and try to get back on track here regarding with what we know happened at the house to some extent, but we have to try to figure out where what really happened. And he's right, because we haven't been talking about all of the truth. We've been leaving some stuff out, and which I get. I get it, because it might be embarrassing or shameful or whatever it may be. But he's right that there's and I'm interested as to why you were leaving some of the stuff out. Is it something worse than depression? Do you have like bipolar disorder or anything like that you've been diagnosed with?
Okay, can we time out?
Sure.
What has happened to my parents?
Your parents are at the hospital right now. They're being treated for some injuries, very severe injuries, and we're trying to sort through that without giving you everything that we know. Because obviously, we want to give you an opportunity to tell us what you know. And that's what we're working through.
And a lot of what we've done so far up to get to this process, before I first walked into this room, we've already done a lot of that process. So we know a lot of the who, the what, the where, and the how. But one thing we can't understand until we talk to everybody is the why. Okay, Christina? And I'm concerned about your wife over there who has a 5-year-old and what her involvement is in this. Because that 5-year-old, she doesn't have a father right now, right?
I know that.
But I'm saying the biological father has passed away.
Yes.
So she relies on you and Brenda to care for her.
Yes.
So as of right now, I just need to know what her involvement is in this. Is this something that just happened on the split second, or was this something that was planned? Because that makes a big difference as far as your mentality of what happened, right?
Planned things or things that just something got out of hand and it was a mistake. There's a big difference there. So we're trying to gauge where we're at on the scale here. Was this something that Christina and Brenda were like planning? This was like it was a grand scheme, or was this, and we see this a lot, was this just a one-time thing that something happened? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that it snowballed into this, and we're trying to figure out where it is on the gauge. And we've already talked to her. Now we're sitting here talking to you, and like Detective Stitt said, we've already spoke to everybody. We're sort of trying to gauge where we're at. We know that we're not in the right place. We want to hit the reset button. We want to get back on track here. We're trying to gauge Brenda's involvement, your involvement with this, given with what we know, and we just want to start over and just start talking about what's going on with
Christina,
the truth.
So you think
Christina,
I hurt my parents?
Christina, I've gathered from the people I've talked to, I've gathered that you and your parents have been coming almost like to an impasse as far as them wanting you to move on with your life and take some responsibility.
Responsibility.
As far as, they've helped you out in the past, right?
That's what they want to fucking call it.
But that's what I'm saying. There's two sides to every story, right? And that's what I'm trying to understand. Okay? Because, like he mentioned, we're not going to tell you everything we know, because then that goes back to what I was saying about me asking you questions I know the answer to. If I just tell you everything, you can either say yes or no, but that doesn't really confirm the facts and the truths that we need to get to. And one of those big things is why would this happen? Is, again, like he said, is this something where you and Brenda plan to harm them and to try to, for whatever reason, whether it's money, whether it's, I don't know, possibly just over anger issues and emotional issues. But we need to, that's the main thing we need to figure out, because the what happened, we already know. The who, we already know because of the evidence and the people that we've already talked to. And the evidence that I'm sure we're going to find when we continue this investigation from here, because it's still early on. And this is your opportunity to get in front of this and be honest, and don't be that person, because you're one of two people at this point, okay? You're either a person who got into a situation with family, and we all know how families can get, and you did something out of emotion, raw emotion, or you're a cold-blooded person who harmed your parents and planned this. And I don't think that's the type of person you are.
Can we drop some bullshit? What is going to happen? Like, path A or path B? Red pill?
I need to know your side of the story. I can't answer that without knowing if there's more to it than what I've been told so far, right?
Exactly, that's what you guys
I mean,
do.
we can tell you that there is not going to be, it's happening right now. There's a search warrant being done on the house. We're going to collect everything out of the house that's evidence. It's all going to go to the laboratory. We're going to have options for search warrants on various cell phone records, all kinds of stuff. I understand, is there a DVR at the house? This is just the tip of the iceberg, and this is your opportunity right now to give yourself a picture of who you are. We've sat down in here with people that stone cold face lie to us, and I've talked to them for 2 hours, and they've said, I don't even know. They stuck with, I don't even know the whole time. Then whenever we get all the evidence and months down the road, they're like, well, gosh, I wish I just would have actually explained myself better. It's already too late at that point. So everything that I've learned about you, I've looked up your record. I see that you have like a little bit of record of some mistakes you made in the past. Those mistakes don't strike me as like a really ruthless, cold-blooded monster or something like that. This is a person that had a few mistakes that happened when they were younger, and they've been trying to recover from it. That's the picture you painted. And now when we came in here, I know that what we were talking about initially wasn't all the truth, but I don't hold that against you, because I can tell you 99% of the people that I put in that chair and I spoke to, they don't tell me the truth right away, because they don't know what to do, they feel uncomfortable, they're not sure, they don't know what's going to happen. But we always get to a point in an interview where this is their choice to show that they were remorseful, they felt sorry about what they did, the guilt is weighing down on their shoulders, and then once we talk about what it is, whether it be this terrible mistake, the worst mistake of their whole life, I can see the pressure come off their shoulders because they know that this is just hanging over them. And I can see, I was watching you while you were sitting in here, you have this pressure on your shoulders. You're doubled over. There's things weighing on you. You're very articulate. You're very smart. You're able to tell us all about your day and your life with this video game, how all these things go. And then we go to talk about the morning, and there's just these long pauses, and it's just crushing me because I'm like, you know what happened. You're very smart. You're very articulate. You can explain very well. But there's things that we're not talking about that we're at a point that we need to talk about it. And when you say that, we just got to drop the bullshit, I mean, I agree to that, and we're not going to lie to you about anything. These are the steps and things that are being done by the other detectives that are involved in the case, that they're doing the paperwork, and they're getting it all done right now. And our job is to talk to you and try to figure out, and we're not lying to you about that either. Both your parents are up at the hospital right now, and I call the deputy that's up there about every 10, 15 minutes to get updates to see if A, they've said any more, or B, their status has gone up or down. Okay? That's where we're at here. So we know all these different things, then we're in here talking to you, and we have to have a narrative or a face or a why that it got to the level that it got to this morning that this happened. And I've seen all the different, and we're not going to spoon feed exactly all the details, because I would like, and I think there's some remorse in you, and you want to tell us the full story without me just saying everything and you going yes, and you going no, because that doesn't show to me a person that is really invested in explaining themselves. Something happened. I'm sorry, detective, and I'm sorry to the world, and this is what it is. I mean, I've sat down and I've talked to lots and lots of people in the years that I've done this, and that's what it comes down to. We're not a couple of jerks trying to do mean things or anything like that to you. that's just the facts of where we're at right now. And I can tell you, I'm not gonna lie either. Brenda's upset. She was upset whenever she's in there. He's not lying. She appears to be confused about a couple of different things, but she is upset. And we're all just trying to get some answers. That's where we're at now. So
did Brenda have anything to do with this?
No.
Did she in any way try to cover this up?
No.
I'm going to be honest. Initially, I'm a little worried that she maybe had some kind of cover-up thing going on, and that's I am a little worried about that.
She's very good at reading me, and I feel like she knew something was off, and that's why she's, trying to, despite her best efforts, cover my ass.
Yeah.
But she had no idea, no, nothing.
Is it safe to say then, and this would make me feel a little better, please be honest with me, she doesn't really know what she's covering for, but she feels like she wants to protect you?
Yes.
Okay, I can sort of get on board with that. Let's go back to this morning and help us understand how it got to that point that it got to that point.
Can there be a condition? Can I make a request?
You can make a request, but listen, we're going to do our jobs regardless of what you tell us. This is more an opportunity to get it off your chest and get it off your shoulders, just like you said, because it's one thing to do it now when we're having this conversation, and another thing to when the dam of evidence is coming down and it's getting so heavy that no one can deny it anymore, because people look at that. They look at that about remorse and
Tell us about what this request is. I can tell you, the people that I've sat with in here, there's some things I can help with. I've had people sit down and write letters to other people, and then I can deliver them. Tell me about what you're requesting, to be specific.
I mean, I just want to be able to see her and hug her and tell her I love her.
I don't necessarily know if there's a problem with that. Well, Detective Stipp can gauge that. You haven't struck me as a person that's going to pass things to another person or beat somebody up, or obviously depending on what you tell us, I might be worried about evidentiary value of the clothing you wear. So we'll assess that at the end then, because I don't know if I'd want you touching somebody if it turns out the clothes you wear are involved in it. That would obviously concern me with the case, because things can move. But so I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with that request, but again,
we'll see where we gauge it at.
Is the facts.
If you go and you tell us these are the same clothes I was wearing and it has all kinds of stuff all over my clothes, then obviously I wouldn't be able to let you. Okay, that would be a concern of mine, that the clothes would transfer onto her clothes. So, what happened?
We'll start fresh, okay? Because like you said, once we get people in this chair to a certain point, they're going to be apprehensive about talking until they realize that it is the best thing.
Is it easiest to start from when you open your eyes this morning? I mean, did they call and text you and wake you and bother you, or?
No, it's not.
Now, the detectives have done a great job thus far making Christina feel compelled to talk. They have cornered her like a rat. Hell, she is literally in the freaking corner. The question is Christina truly ready to give up this fight and confess? Or does she have another tactic in mind to avoid embracing accountability? Right after the first of 2 commercial breaks, Christina is going to take the detectives down a road that none of us saw coming.
I've had a very, very rough life. And they don't see that. I was young, we lived in Dallas, Texas until I was 10 years old. I had friends, I was popular, I was active, I wasn't fat. And then, because of a job, he decides we're all moving to Florida. The only perk is that it's horse country, and I've been very passionate about horses ever since I can remember. Shortly after the move, I adjusted I mean, as well as I could, I guess. I rode my bike around the neighborhood. I tried to make friends. My brothers, James and John, however, would stay in their room, play video games, and just stay in the room in the dark and stuff. And then, I believe John is a psychopath because of the things that he did to me, and James helped. There would be various times of the day that, whenever my parents weren't watching, that they'd, tie me down, hold me down, burn me with either cigarettes or little metal rods or pins that they would heat up in different ways and put them out on my skin. Derma has done wonders for the scars on my legs, but they're still there somewhat.
Is that one there from being burned by something?
Yes.
Were your parents aware of this stuff going on? Or did you never?
I tried telling them, shortly after it started happening, my mom looked at me in the face and said, I can't do anything unless I catch them in the act.
It's got to be hard to deal with growing up, having to be in the house with them.
Did your parents ever call the sheriff's office or anybody?
No.
Any of the school counselors or teachers ever catch
I was
it?
homeschooled.
Okay. So you weren't out in the community that it could be seen? Sure.
And, so that went on from 10, 11, and 12 years old. And when I was 12, I found a volunteer place where I could go every day after, once I got my homework done, I would cram as much homework as I could so that I could spend as much time at the farm with my horse. We bought him when I was 12, and I went there every day because I didn't want to go home to the help. I would sit at the dinner table, and my brothers would have these hand signals, code signs and I knew what was going to happen later, and I'd start crying, and my dad would be like, "Why can't you just be happy?"
Talking to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he'd send me to my room without finishing dinner.
So you'd have their back when you wasn't exactly there for you when you needed it.
Yeah. And I physically beat myself up, punched myself in the back because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't. I had all this pain on the inside. And there was no way to let it go. Because neither of my parents would listen to me about my brothers. They didn't do shit about it. And that went on for 3 years. My horse was the only thing that saved me from, throwing myself into traffic or my wrists.
Okay. So how do we get from there to where we are this morning? I know. I just can't imagine, for that long you got to go through that, because I can't imagine the tension and the friction and stress that it causes.
So then, things kind of, get better for a little while. Well, I go to the farm every day, and then I turn 15, and three of my brothers married 3 sisters from another family. I'm sure you are familiar with the name McCain, or state representative.
Sure, I think I've heard it before. I couldn't tell you what that person does.
Yeah, well, anyway, he's a state representative in Florida, and he's got 12 kids, and 3 of his daughters married 3 of my brothers. James and Amanda are no longer together. They got divorced after their 2nd kid, but the other 2 are still together. Anywho, two of the sisters, Morgan and Amanda, thought it would be, I don't know, funny or I don't know what purpose it served, but they decided to ruin my life even more and accused me of being my two nephews.
They did that. Was that accused here in Marion County?
Yes. And then on my 20th birthday, I got called from OPD saying to come down and talk about it and get questioned.
Yeah.
And like there was two separate accusations. One when I was 15 and one when I was 18. 15, it was pretty open and shut. They were living in the back apartment that I'm living in now. And they started this whole business, and I was the last person to know about it. Everybody was talking about it behind, like, in front of me, and I had no idea what was going on, that all these people thought this stuff was me. And so my dad told them to either let it go, the accusation, or get the fuck out of the back apartment. And so they only apologized or let it go just so that they would have a place to live. Then, 3 years later, I'm going to school, I'm working 3 jobs. Well, 2 jobs at the time. And then my mom asks me as a favor to her to babysit for Daniel and Morgan. And I tell her no fucking way. She begs and pleads and twists that thing of guilt and, do it for me. And my instincts screamed no. And there was nothing to do about it. So I get off my other 3 jobs, or 2 jobs, and plus school, and go to their house for them to go to a Dave Ramsey seminar so that they can learn how to get out of debt that my parents paid for. And I frankly, I don't even know why they accepted that I was going to be the babysitter. Anyway, after what happened when I was 15. A couple months go by, same shit happens again.
You get accused of
except instead of Morgan accusing me of not her son, but James's son, she accuses her own son.
So you get accused of that again.
Mm-hmm.
And the family targeted you again in some way. Before it was your brothers when you were younger, physically abusing you, and now it's the in-laws emotionally abusing you. How old are you now?
I'm 30.
Okay. So you've gone through all that since you're 19, and then something happens leading up to this morning.
So then Amanda, the mother of this first son that I was accused of, when I was 15. I've known I've been gay since I was like 7, 8 years old. I would never hurt my nephews. I loved them. I was so happy when I learned that I was going to be an aunt for the first time. David was in the hospital at the time, and my mom was down visiting him, and Daniel and Morgan came in, and I was the first one they told. Ever since those accusations, the family's been divided. At one point in time, anybody who said that I was out of the will. But then at some point it changed. That my mom got her soft heart got the better of her, and she just wanted to be around her grandkids. And so that was the remedy, just to welcome them back in the fold, the accusers.
Is that something that happened recently?
No, this was like years ago.
Okay.
And John, who he tried to mediate between, you know, the ones that said that I did, and the ones that said that I didn't, and like that he was a non-biased party. He wasn't non-biased. He was spying for the other side, and always looking at me weird, like if I went to go give my nephew a hug. It escalated to the point where Amanda, the mother of the son that I was accused of when I was 15, took it to court saying, like right before Thanksgiving, saying that she wanted an immediate injunction against me, between me and my niece and nephew.
Last Thanksgiving that just passed?
No.
Oh, this is years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This was around the time like that there was the OPD called me.
Okay.
And I had a lawyer to give advice for like how to maneuver through the accusations with my honor intact, but there's when you search my name or when someone does a background check, there's still something that pops up. It says that like there's no information, but it says hey, it might as well that I did it.
Sure.
Having that on there, and so people that look me up, they automatically assume shit of me. So she tries to get an emergency injunction right before Thanksgiving, before the courts closed, and the judge said, well, I'm not granting you an emergency injunction unless I hear her side of the story, my side. And she's like, okay, so they set a date, and we go in with my lawyer and everything. And they tried to prove that because of the way the house was outlaid and my family's, you know, tradition of family dinners, that everybody has to be at the table at the same time for dinner, at the same eating the same thing. That wouldn't be possible. That there was a breach of the injunction. The injunction was not passed, but then there was a custody battle between James and Amanda, and so she tried to make a stipulation that he could have half custody if I never saw him again. Yeah. And my parents paid good money for a lawyer, and instead of just shutting up and sitting there and letting the lawyer talk, he shoots up and says, agreed. He agrees that I'm not going to get to see my niece and nephew forever. And so, because I was working at JCPenney at the time, and I was living under the roof, and Chance and Zoe and James were also living there half the time. Well, James full time, but the kids half the time. I had to hear them playing and ask about me, and they could not know I was there. I couldn't give them presents, nothing. And so, so then I kept looking for a way to numb the pain.
And it was your dad who agreed to that stipulation? Or is it James?
James.
Okay.
Yeah, the dad of the kids.
Right.
Yeah. And so, you know, for years, I think, yeah, about like a year and a half, maybe two, I would sit in that room and I would, you know, just my nieces and nephews are growing up and probably forgetting me. And so I tried to find a way to numb the pain. And I got into drugs, shooting up the lot, and when I couldn't find those, shot up heroin and coke, and it escalated because I ran out of money, and so I resorted to stealing, which is how I got more charges. And then with the last charge, there was a guardian angel looking out for me somehow, and there was a mistake with my points in my favor, and so I should have been in prison for years, but I got only 300 days. And from that moment when I realized that the points, you know, didn't add up the way that I thought that they should have, I dedicated myself to, you know, getting out and doing the right thing and getting clean, and I was out for like a month and a half, and my sisters came down to see me, and I was sick, and I was working on a farm, and it was in the middle of winter, and I asked if they could pick me up some Sudafed and cough medicine, cough drops, ibuprofen, stuff for like the cold. And they accused me of wanting to make meth. That's not my thing. I'm a downer. I want to sleep away my misery. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got really mad and said, all right, you think I'm getting high anyway, and you're going to go tell mom and dad that? Fine. Might as well.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I got high, and I went into Orca, the opiate.
And that was recent, because I know Brenda had mentioned that you two have been in the program for a while now.
Yeah, I've been there for
Suboxone?
3 years, yeah. I got out beginning of 19, and I went to Orca either beginning of February or beginning of March of 19. And I've been there since, and they've been like family, and they've helped me more than anybody has when it comes to sobriety and other things. And that's how Brenda and I met. And within a few months, I knew she was the one.
About a year and a half ago now?
Yeah. Our anniversary date is January 25th, 2021. And and we just got married at the beginning of this year, January 25th.
It's a lot of work and responsibility to take care of a 5-year-old too. It can add a lot of stress on your life when you're going through a lot of stuff that's happened so far in the past, but still is over your shoulder haunting you.
And how much healing would have there been if people just owned their shit and said they're sorry for their part?
Yeah.
Can I interrupt here and say the irony?
I understand they can't take it back. They can't, rewrite history. But you can at least say you're fucking sorry.
Give you a little closure. Yeah.
There's like so much more, like David. I had to babysit him from 13 till 18, and he's the one that got me to smoke crack for the first time, and then I didn't like it, and he held it over my head saying, I'm going to tell mom and dad, otherwise, or unless you help me get more crack.
Christina, I know it's really difficult to talk about some of the stuff that we need to talk about, but I just want you to do the best you can. Don't leave anything out, and just tell us how this happened today.
I'm a sociopath, and I have a wild case of DID.
Okay.
And under extreme stress and emotion, other forces control my actions. And
your emotions got the best of you today? Okay.
like I've tried to explain to my dad, I take responsibility for the mistakes that I've made, the criminal and whatever. And, but for some reason somebody out there a long time ago said that 7 years was the statute of limitations of how long it has to be from the time you get released from jail or prison until, it doesn't matter anymore. So why 7 years? That's ridiculous. And, he wanted me to move so that one of my brothers who has a job, who has income, can stay there And I'm just, what, kicked the fuck out?
So they didn't even care where you went at this point? They just wanted you gone?
They just wanted me gone.
Did you tell them you'd be homeless?
Yeah. I told them I have no money. I have no way to get a job to support myself. And I asked him to help me, and he said it's not my problem. I told him about all this stuff that I just told you about, everything that I've been through, like almost being raped, almost being sold for crack, almost like being jumped by 6 black people for over a dime of crack because David just locked the doors. Didn't help me at all. Just watched me get my ass beat.
What did he say to that when you told him about all those things?
He said it's not my problem.
Was your mom there? Were you able to tell her those things? What did she say?
Like, I mean, she had this, look of, that she was sad for me, but it wasn't like, like that they understood or that they were going to help or anything.
When did this conversation happen?
Beginning of August,
Okay.
I think.
The beginning of August.
So did they give you like a deadline of when they wanted you to move out, or they just, it was kind of day by day?
Like at first, it was like when they first dropped the bomb at me.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, he just walked up. He didn't say, "Hey, are you busy? Can we talk?" Or, "How you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like that. Like it's always, just, "Oh, I need you to be out of the house in 6 weeks." Just so laissez-faire.
Was this morning that 6 weeks? What?
Oh, that was like June or July.
Okay.
Because I've been trying to have a dialogue with them like that. I can't.
Which
like,
one of your siblings did they want to move in there?
I think Steven.
Steven?
Because his wife, he and his wife get mad at each other sometimes, and so he stays at my parents' house, and there was talk of divorce, and Allison decided not to pay the mortgage, which fucked them up, and so I think that was why there was the immediacy of me having to get out. So, but, the way their house is laid out, they have plenty of rooms. They could have walled off, made another little apartment.
But then your parents don't want to have a dialogue with you at all about the situation. You said during extreme episodes of emotion, you have an episode of DID. What was the extreme emotion that happened, I guess, either last night or this morning?
I can't, I don't know how to explain it.
Did you try to have a dialogue with them late last night, or was this morning?
This morning.
Okay, describe to us that dialogue attempt.
That they wanted to be out, completely out by tomorrow.
Okay. That's the deadline. You're up tomorrow.
Yeah.
How did this start? Did they call you on the phone? Did they knock on your door to bring us there?
I'm sorry, what?
How did the dialogue start this morning? Did they call you on the phone? Did they knock on your door? How did it?
No, I called my mom asking about the laundry.
Okay.
And she's like, I think Dad wanted to talk to you, yesterday or something. And I said, okay, well, come over and do laundry. And she opened the door. We hung up, and then she opened the door. And she was on the couch, watching Gunsmoke, like I said. And my dad was out on his walk still. And last night, when I got home from my grocery shopping, I noticed that the lock on my front door, which is like the back door, really, the lock was not in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that the thermostat is changed and that there's a note under my door. Telling my dad saying, "Thanks for being an adult and talking to me," not, and it was just a miscommunication, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not like attached to my phone like all these millennials.
Sure.
I use it for what I need to use it, but I'm not like glued to it.
Right.
And then he said, "You need to be out by tomorrow."
So he let you know in a note, or that was during the conversation?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were talking to your mom, but you said your dad was still on his walk?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he came home, you know, I told him what happened, that I was really busy yesterday, that I didn't, mean to, ignore him. It wasn't on purpose. It was just I was trying to get stuff done, and it just went the way it did, and I'm sorry. And then, and then I don't really remember what happened after that. It's like a blackish, reddish, like, mixture.
Now, I understand with DID you might not be in the driver's seat, but I believe you're in the passenger seat. Tell me some of the snippets that you remember being a passenger and whatever's occurring.
I remember,
We're not here to judge, okay?
I know, I'm trying to...
It's okay to say. We've been in rooms with people who have no remorse or cares for any people that they would hurt. And I can tell you're not that person. I can tell you're scared, and I get that. But you can talk to us and not worry about being judged.
Tell me about the last thing you recall them saying. Who was it, your mom or your dad that was talking?
It was my dad.
What was the last thing he said that you remember?
"You're going to be out tomorrow, right?"
Okay. Did you say something back?
I think I just nodded. And then that's when it's like fuzzy.
Let's work through the other senses. Do you remember the feeling of anything in your hand?
Yeah.
Describe to me what you felt in your hand.
Something like circular or flat and hard.
Tell me where this would have come from, or tell me more about what it is. What do you see?
I know I was like still in my basketball shorts and t-shirt, like when I went over there to do laundry.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know, like it's like I was covered from the neck down.
I don't want to guess. What were you covered in?
Well, clothes.
Okay.
Like, I remember gloves.
Okay. Where did the gloves come from?
My house.
Did you have them before you guys had the conversation, or?
No, I don't think so. I was like, when I put the laundry in, before my dad came home from his walk, before we talked, I was in like a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
And then like there's, I don't know if I went back and changed. I guess I did. I put on long dark pants and a jacket and the gloves.
Are those the items there and be in the washer?
Long dark pants, a jacket, and gloves. You put those on. And then what happened after you put on those clothes?
I went over, my dad was on the computer, like in the computer room in his computer chair. And I just came up behind him and
Describe this how you heard it.
Okay.
Tell us what you stabbed him with. A knife? Where did you get the knife from?
I had one for self-defense.
Okay.
In the apartment.
In the apartment? You got it from your apartment? When we go and look for the knife, describe to us what color it is and how big it is.
It's like 9 inches long, like total.
Okay.
Like,
Does it have a color handle?
I believe it's black.
Okay. And when you hurt him and you stabbed him, where do you think the first place it was that he got hurt and stabbed at?
Left arm.
His left arm? Okay. I know it's hard. Tell us what happened after that. He's sitting at his computer, right? Okay. Was his back to you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel like I think I like shocked him with my it's another self-defense thing that I carry. A taser.
Okay.
A little handheld.
A handheld taser?
Your head like wood.
Okay. All right.
And then so I shot him and turned around. And then I tapped him.
Did you shock him first before the left arm?
Yeah, before.
Okay. Okay. And then what happened? Take a deep breath.
I can't remember where the next one landed.
You said he turned towards you at that point?
Yeah, after the shock. I don't know where it happened next.
Okay.
But I think it was like 2 of my dad, 1 in my mother, and then the last one in my dad.
I'm sorry, what?
2.
Mm-hmm. 2 stabs.
To your dad, and then you said 1 to your mom?
Yeah.
Describe to us the transition from your dad to your mom. Your dad's over by the computer. We already talked about that. How did you get over to your mom?
She heard the commotion. She came over and she's like, "What are you doing?" I don't know what.
What part of her body did you stab? You're pointing at the middle of the chest? Okay. Did you use the taser on her at all? Okay.
That was just more out of reaction and being scared of what had just happened?
I'm sorry?
Was that more about a reaction, what happened with your mom? Just she coming in and realizing what had happened and you got scared? Yeah.
Tell us how you went back to your dad for another stab.
He got mad. I had my phone. He started crawling. And he was. And then he got up. And I got him as well here.
In the chest?
Yeah.
You're pointing to the middle of the chest?
Yeah.
Mm. What happened after that, Christina?
He stumbled and he went like through the computer room, down the front hall, towards like the very middle of the couch, and on the other side is a bar and a sink, a kitchen sink, and he went over the couch on his back like this. He went over it, and then he tried to get up, and then the last time I saw him, he was on the couch.
Okay.
I don't know if you were in the house, the office, like there's the pool door, and then there's the office, and there's the back of the couch. He was in this like seat.
Okay. Now, when you said that your mom came in after hearing all the commotion, right? Okay. And then that's what happened. What happened with your mom happened, and your dad was angry. Was he saying something? Was he still able to?
He said some bitch or something.
Did he stand up, or was he still sitting?
When?
After what happened to your mom, and then you focused your attention back at him, was he standing or sitting?
I believe he was standing.
He was standing. So at that point, you approached him from the front, so you were facing each other. Okay. And you said one stab to the chest. And then he went from the computer room to where he was at the couch the last time you saw him. Did your mother ever say anything?
I think she stabbed me.
Okay.
And that was it.
Did she fell down? And where did you go?
I don't know. I think she just laid out.
Okay.
When you last saw your dad on the couch, did you think he was still alive? No. When you last saw your mom, did you think she was still alive? So you thought they were both dead?
I realized what I did.
What happened after you realized what you did?
I took off all my clothes. I was a washer. My shirt I had it weren't so black.
Were you able to take a shower, wash off? But the gloves and all the clothes are in there? Did you add bleach?
No.
Just more soap.
And what did you do with the knife?
I did put in water and bleach.
I'm sorry?
I put that
In
in
the
water.
washing machine?
No.
Not the clothes washer, but like
No.
dishwasher?
No. Bucket.
A bucket. Okay. Is that where it's still at?
No. You know where it is.
We'll let you tell us where it is. After it went in the water and the bleach, what happened to it next?
I put it in my trash bag and I put it in with a couple buckets of ice that I was going to refill a grease trap. Like, in the same bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my car.
Okay. So it's in your car and it's with those bags. And it's the same one you described to us, the inches and the handle. Okay. So that's inside of your car. And then the taser pen was one of the questions too. Where did that go?
I think that's on my bed.
Okay. So the taser pen is on the bed, but the knife is in those bags that's in your car. Okay. Were you gonna throw that away later, or
What?
the knife?
I don't know what I put in. I don't know what I was going to do.
When you came up to your dad with that knife and this all started happening, was your goal to kill him?
No, I was just really mad.
You were really mad, but help us understand, because you said you were wearing basketball shorts when this conversation happened, and you went back home, you changed, you put on gloves, you picked up a knife and a taser, and you went back with the intention to do what you did. But what was in your mind when you formulated that plan? What did you think was going to
I
happen?
don't know.
But you left when you believed that they were dead. Is that accurate? Is the knife in the red or the silver car? I'm confused.
Silver.
Okay, it's in the silver car.
Did you go back to the house after you initially left with the knife and the taser? You didn't go back to check on them? Did you call anyone and tell anyone what had happened?
No, I was very scared.
Did you contemplate calling 911 or trying to get them help? Or did you believe that they were already beyond help at
I
that
thought
point?
they were beyond help and that it would just, end up with me back here.
What was your plan? Because you know somebody was going to eventually have to come to the house, right?
I didn't have a
You haven't thought that far ahead yet? So you actually, you did go meet up with Brenda at Publix after this happened?
What did you tell her?
I just hugged her and told her everything.
Yeah.
But I know her look on her face, she knew something was up.
Did you indicate to her something was off or something had happened?
No.
No?
Just to clarify from your first statement, Brenda did not come over this morning?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. All right, so it was when you met her up there and you guys were up there and you were able to hug her and okay. Did you obtain any injuries on yourself during all this?
No.
Okay, I don't see any on you, I just have to ask, of course.
So all the glove, what kind of gloves were they? Were like a knit material, or were they like nylon? Do you know what I mean? Something that you could just throw in the wash with clothes and stuff. Okay, is that where those gloves went also? All right. You had mentioned earlier about shoe covers.
Yeah, those were in there too.
Were you wearing those when you went back to the house and this all happened?
I think so.
Okay.
Regarding your DID, have you ever been formally diagnosed by a doctor from that? Have you ever gone to a mental health facility like the Centers of the Vines for any sort of treatments?
I knew if I told my parents that I, had issues
Okay.
with mental health, that they would throw booty bin and throw away the key.
Okay. So this is something that you believe you have based off of your life experiences. Is that safe to say?
Yes.
But with no formal diagnosis, I understand. Having learned all this, like we said, your parents are alive when we last checked at the hospital, and they were being worked on by the medical staff up there, and I was checking every 10 minutes. We've been here for a long time. I can see you're crying now. Is this something that you feel sorry about now in retrospect? Okay. I think it's probably important we get all this stuff over to the other detectives that are out of the house. I don't know, I don't, like I said, we can leave people paper for apologies if they're inclined. It's not something we ever force people to do. I actually don't even offer it to all people, but you seem like you've had a very hard life and you've gone through a lot. So I'm going to leave an empty pad in here, and if you wanted to write messages to any family or your parents or any friends regarding what happened, I can see about what we can do with that. But I definitely think we need to go talk to our supervisors about it. Hey,
Is she still here?
yeah, she's still here.
I'm going to go talk to her about if she wants to make arrangements for her mom to get the
kids.
little one, okay? She's going to leave this right here, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes, okay?
Yeah. Get everything over there. Sorry, that's blank.
All right, thank you, Kristen.
Track goes down there. You wrote something?
Yeah, for my wife.
Let that sink in. She has 2 victims at the hospital, her parents, and at this point in the interview, she believes they're still alive, and she doesn't write one word for her parents.
Okay, so yeah, we got a couple updates that you wanted to go through.
Yeah, so we spoke with the hospital right now. Both your parents are still alive. They're still working on her and him. So I did get an update, and they gave us a little bit more information about what exactly happened. So I wanted to get a better understanding from you, and I really appreciate everything that you've told us. It started off a little rocky, and like I told you before, I understand. When we first met, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I feel like you did the right thing, getting it off your shoulders, and like I told you at the very beginning, is there's more to it, and you let me in on a lot of that about what's happened in your past. So I definitely understand a little bit better your side of things, and that's very helpful. You don't have to go back to one second this time here. So one of the things that I would like to get a better understanding of is there was several stab wounds on your father. Okay, when you and I and Detective Pender had spoke before, you had mentioned that there was one that you believed was initially to his left arm.
Yes.
Okay, and then another one that you had mentioned this was after you stabbed your mother, that you turned back toward your father.
Right. There was a total of 3.
3?
On my dad. I can't tell you where the middle one was.
Okay, so the doctors are telling us that he has 7 stab wounds. Now I understand there's a lot going on, and you're not mentally in the right spot. So it's and it all happened very fast, I'm sure. So, but is that something that maybe you just? I mean, I wouldn't imagine you're counting when you're doing this.
Of course.
So, but from my perspective, and you've been, I think, very honest since we got through that first, roadblock.
Yeah. Everything that I can remember.
So when we stepped out, we reviewed this, what our findings were with our supervisor, as well as got updates by what the other detectives are handling in different aspects of this case. And one of the sticking points for us is the fact that you went over and changed after this initial discussion where your dad was, he didn't care about where you went. He didn't care about your state of mind, being possibly homeless or having nowhere to go. And he just said, I want you out tomorrow. No ifs, ands, or buts. But at that point, you left that conversation and you put on gloves and long clothing, shoe covers.
How long did you have those shoe covers and stuff? The gloves and the shoe covers, is that something that you had picked up like the night before and you were...
Like something that I usually have. I bought them a while ago because I was going to be at the farm. That I mentioned.
You did the veterinary hospital off 27.
Yeah, and I had them because they had a type of shoe cover, but my boots were like too big for those shoe covers.
Got it.
And so I wanted to find ones that were reusable and that would protect my shoes from bleach.
So ultimately, what we're trying to understand and get a better understanding of is this a situation where this is something been building and been on your mind to do this for a long time, or is this something that you just thought after that conversation today you formulated this plan that I can't deal with these people anymore. They've just hurt me too much. They put me through too much, and I'm going to go and from all the things that you have told me and everything that I've seen, you were going to kill them. You couldn't live with this any longer.
Was it something that you planned in just 15 minutes, or this been planned over 15 days? Were you thinking about what you do?
Just like today.
Just today?
You know,
How many minutes do you think you put together this plan?
it just irked me that he just didn't care. He just wanted me gone. It's like, why did you even have me if you don't want me?
You live in such close quarters. Yeah, you're in separate buildings, but, all that history that you talked to us about, and I'm sure you didn't even tell us everything. I know there's probably a lot more.
A lot of trauma, I understand.
And it kind of all built up to this point that where you were at this morning, where it was just too much to bear any longer.
Was the gap between when you walked away and he said that, when you went in and got all your clothes on, was this something that was 10, 15 minutes? How much time was it before you went and returned?
It was like very, very short, like 5 minutes.
Okay, so about 5 minutes from whenever you left, and then you put together this plan to put on the booties, put on the clothes, put on the gloves, and get the taser pen and the knife. Is that about right? And then go back in there. Okay, and in that time he had gone over to his computer and sat down. Is that accurate?
Yes.
No, let me ask you this. Was it you knew both of your parents were in the house, correct? When you went back?
Well, yes.
Okay. So was it your intention to only kill your father and not your mother, or was your intention that even though she didn't necessarily put everything on you like your father was, she didn't stand up for you enough? So you were just going to have to kill both of them?
Okay. So the plan was for both of them?
Yes.
So in the end, Christina would find herself receiving 2 life sentences, one for the attempted murder of her mother and another for the death of her father, who eventually succumbed to his injuries. I can't help but think about one thing after watching this interrogation. I believe Richard Langer is a hero. As you heard, after being stabbed by his daughter while sitting in his computer chair, his wife entered the room and Christina attacked her with the knife. Richard, the loving man that he was, brought the attention back upon himself and found himself attacked again and again. This distraction allowed his wife to only sustain one injury, potentially saving her life. And as for Christina, I wonder what things would have been like if instead of turning these detectives into shrinks, she would have laid herself on someone's couch and talked about these issues a long, long time ago. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to leave a like on your way out. And thanks again for watching They Caught Me. Till next time.